Happy Friday. Welcome into the CHGO Blackhawks podcast. I'm Jason Watsky with Greg Boyson and Mario Tirabassi. Welcome in. Hope you're having a great day. Make sure you smash that like button for us on YouTube. Make sure you're subscribed to our YouTube page as well. Make sure if you're a podcast listener, you're following or subscribed on your favorite app, and take 25 seconds to leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. We would greatly appreciate that. We've got a lot to get to today. We're going to have some fun. We've had some requests from our listeners on mailbag shows and others to do some redrafts here. So we're going to do some redrafts of the 2018 and 2019 NHL drafts. You'll remember in 2018, the Blackhawks selected Adam Boquist 8th, and in 2019, they took Kirby Dach 3rd. So we're going to go through those two drafts and see where those two end up. Maybe they'll end up still in Chicago. So how's it going, fellas?
Going.
It's good. It's a Friday. We're one day closer to Connor Bedard, so it's a
12
good day.
days.
Yes. I spent my Friday morning in a Costco, so I need to decompress.
Oh yeah,
and get my annoyance with people who have zero self-awareness.
Yes, I sympathize with that.
Yes,
yeah.
I love Costco. I just hate going to Costco.
Yes, it's brutal. It's people who don't know how wide their carts are. They just stand in the middle of the aisle and no one moves, and it's very stressful.
Yes, my favorite are the people who leave their cart in the middle of a random aisle to walk 3 aisles over to stuff their fat face with a half a piece of sausage.
We've all been there, and maybe I've been that guy once or twice. I'm sorry.
Take your cart to the sample station. You don't need to leave it in the middle. Take it with you.
I'm one of those people that if I'm in a grocery store, I am pulled as far to the side as I can, because as a fat guy, I'm constantly aware of my space and the space I'm taking up. And when I go with my mom, I'm like, Mom, you have to move over. We can't just stop and look at everything. Oh, it is a very stressful.
Yeah, I'm the type of guy that shops. I have a list. I know exactly what I need. And no matter where I'm going, there's always some little old lady just standing there staring at exactly everything I need to purchase. And somehow it's the same lady, and she beats me to every aisle. I don't know how that happens.
Got a rocket cart.
Yeah.
But it wasn't lost. I did grab a wonderful, delicious chicken bake on the way out for lunch, and that made everything worth it. Those things are amazing. You've
got to get the chicken enchilada bake that they have there. It's like $30, but it feeds like 15 people, and it is absolutely amazing.
Perfect.
So good.
I will get that for the next CHGO potluck dinner. I'll bring that in.
Perfect.
All right. Before we get into the draft, I want to remind everybody, by the way, if you are heading down to Nashville for the draft, we're going to be at Hopsmith, Nashville on Tuesday, June 27th for our happy hour and meet up before the Hawks select Connor Bedard. Yeah, it's going to happen. Each ticket includes all you can drink from 1 to 4 p.m., food, and our new draft pick t-shirt when it becomes official. We are working on that design. From what we've seen, like kind of the mock-ups, it's going to be very sweet. You're going to want to get one of those. Diehards, as always, you'll save 20% on the event. Diehards, go to allchgo.com/diehard events. And if you are a normie, go to allchgo.com/chgo-road-trips, or just go to our website and navigate around there, and you'll find it very, very easily at allchgo.com. So we hope to see everybody down in Nashville at Hopsmith. It should be a wonderful time.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Do they have Costco's down in Nashville? Maybe we need to get a big thing of barbecue sauce or something while we're down there.
Sure. I'm down with that.
It's going to be 73 people staying in our Airbnb, so a Costco trip probably is a good idea.
That would make sense, yeah.
I remember we went to spring training a couple years ago, and Mitch Rosen at the score got down there before everybody. Went to Costco. We all landed in Phoenix, and it was 99 degrees, and Mitch had a chicken pot pie waiting for us at the. Do you know how hot it is outside? A chicken pot pie. That's like December food.
And he cooked it on the hood of his car while he was waiting for you guys to get there.
Yeah, I mean, it was good. I'm not complaining. I guess I am complaining. But yeah. I was like, oh, chicken pot pie. Just what I wanted in the desert.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, let's get to it. We've got our draft board ready to go. We spun the magic wheel before the show. So the way it's going to work is for the 2018 draft, Mario is going to go first, Greg second, I will go third, and then we're going to snake it back and forth, and then we'll change formats for the 2019 draft. So just to recap the top 5 in 2018 as they went, I might as well do all top 15, right? Rasmus Dahlin went to Buffalo. Andrei Svechnikov went to Carolina. Jesperi Kotkaniemi went to Montreal. Brady Tkachuk went to Ottawa. Barrett Hayton went to Arizona. Philip Zadina to Detroit. Quinn Hughes to Vancouver. Adam Boqvist to Chicago. Vitaly Kretsov to the Rangers. Evan Bouchard to Edmonton. Oliver Wahlstrom to the Islanders. Noah Dobson to the Islanders. Ty Dellandrea to Dallas. Joel Farabee to Philly, and Grigory Denisenko to Florida. So there's your top 15 in 2018 as it actually went down.
Yep. A pretty decent draft class.
Not bad.
Yeah.
You're on the clock, Mario.
I'm on the clock. Well, the first pick is not going to stay as such. I am not going to select Rasmus Dahlin. I'm actually going to go with the guy who I think has just a little bit of everything in his game. You see it in the family. I'm going to go with Brady Tkachuk, first overall. I think he's one of those guys that you can definitely build around an organization. I think the Senators are trying to do that with multiple pieces, but he's definitely one of the focal points. He's a lot like his brother. He's got a lot of nastiness to his game, size, physicality. He can score. He can set up plays. A little bit of do everything. So I'm going to go with Brady Tkachuk first overall.
That was number one on the Zawaski big board as well, which is a shock to no one.
Yeah.
All righty. If I'm Carolina GM Ron Francis at this time, it's tough because do you pick one of those highly skilled defensemen right now, or do you stick with the guy that they actually picked? And I'm going to stick with Andrei Svechnikov at 2 because he's just a fantastic player and fits the way they play so well. Not saying that Rasmus Dahlin or any of those other defensemen wouldn't, but defenseman is not something, Carolina has an embarrassment of riches on the blue line. They've got a lot of great guys back there, and I can't imagine Carolina without Svechnikov. We saw how important he was, not having him for that Panthers series. So we're going to stick to the same, and I'm going to, for the Carolina Hurricanes, I'm going to take Andrei Svechnikov, who I believe has the most points of this, second most points of this draft class so far behind Brady Tkachuk.
Yep.
All right, I have 2 in a row here. So with the number 3 pick, which belongs to the Montreal Canadiens, I'm going to take Rasmus Dahlin, who was the number 1 overall pick. He has been, well, let's put it this way. He was crazy hyped coming into the draft. He was another no doubt number 1 pick, not the level of Connor Bedard, of course, but a very high, kind of surefire first pick. And although he's not the flashiest player in the world, he has lived up to expectations. He has become a very solid, very good defenseman. Every team in the league has a spot for Rasmus Dahlin, so he's going to go to the Montreal Canadiens for me. And then number 4 for Ottawa, I'm going to take Quinn Hughes. I think Quinn Hughes, who was originally taken 7th in the draft, I just, the 241 points in 283 games speak for themselves. The kid is a stud. That would be my 4th pick, and that's Ottawa's thrilled with that one.
Yeah, Quinn Hughes. Oh, go ahead, Mario.
I was going to say Ottawa, I'm sure would love that because defensively, I mean, they just had to go out and get I'm thinking of Columbus. Yeah, I mean, defensively, Ottawa is, that's not where they're, the most depth in their organization. So yeah, I think getting a Quinn Hughes would have been pretty nice back then.
For sure. That was the guy I really wanted to fall to the Blackhawks, and he almost got there in that draft. When Vancouver took him, I was
one pick away.
Pretty pissed off about that. Here's where it gets a little weird because now we've got like the best 4 players off the board, like the no-brainer top 4 players from this draft class.
Yeah.
And now things get interesting because you have a good mix of guys that have already performed at the NHL level and guys that you're still kind of waiting on, because there's still some guys here that have potential that haven't been completely tapped yet. But for 5th for the Arizona Coyotes, now they originally took Barrett Hayton in this spot, who is, I don't know if he's a top 5 guy. He's shown some flashes, but I'm not sure. I'm not taking him here in this spot. I think I'm going to take a guy that has been coming on strong of late. He's been progressing well, and I think still has better days ahead of him. Joel Farabee, who was originally taken 14th by the Flyers. I'm going to take him 5th here for the Coyotes, because I think he's a kid that still hasn't reached his ceiling and is getting better with each passing year.
Good pick.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's been good.
That's a solid pick. All right, so I am at 6th for the Detroit Red Wings.
Kim Boquist.
Yeah. Oh man, my next 2 picks are Detroit and Vancouver. Ugh, I don't want to help them. I don't want to help them out. All right, so here's what I'm gonna do. I still think the 6th pick overall, that was Philip Zadina, has a lot of upside to him. He just hasn't really tapped into it yet. But I'm not gonna pick him. I'm gonna go for Detroit. I'm gonna go with Noah Dobson, who originally went 12th to the Islanders. I think he's a guy that was on a lot of people's radars heading into that draft for the Blackhawks. The two-way ability, the size that he had. I think there were a lot of things that you look for in a prototypical, future top 4 defenseman that Dobson brought to the table. That I think when Boquist was picked, and then as he progressed, and you see how Dobson has progressed, I think a lot of people are 5 years later going, yep, that would have been nice with Noah Dobson. So I think he was a little low in the draft, but I think he would go 6th if I was redrafting there.
Hard to argue with. I had him 6th on my board. So
there you go.
So far.
There you go. And you look here. Here's our board so far. As we've done 2 snakes down the road: Kachuk, Svechnikov, Dahlin, Quinn Hughes, Joel Farabee, and now Noah Dobson. And I will start the next snake around. This is for pick number 7, which originally went to Vancouver. I'm going to go with another defenseman, and this is I was between 2 guys here that were on my board. And one of them was a guy that I wanted back in 2018 as a defenseman for the Blackhawks, who, again, was another guy that was picked after Adam Boquist, and a guy that I wanted, but I didn't think he was going to be available for either of those 2018 first-round picks for the Blackhawks, because he would have been a reach at 8, and I didn't think he was going to be available at 27, which ended up being the case. So I was between these 2 guys. One of them went to the University of Wisconsin. So I'm going to pick Keandre Miller, defenseman there, as at number 7.
I had him at 8.
I love Keandre Miller. I love where he's developed at with the Rangers. And he's been a guy that I don't think it's actually going to happen, but I've seen some Rangers fans worried about them keeping him. I know he's an RFA this offseason. I don't think that they need to worry, but I don't know. If he is out there, that would be really cool. Just saying.
I'm down with that. That's for sure.
That was the guy I was going to take for the Hawks here at 8 instead of Boquist. But I'm going to stick on the blue line. Now, I want to preface this by saying I wish I could pick this player and then add him to the line of thinking when it comes to development of the current Blackhawks, because it probably wouldn't have worked in the old regime. But I'm going to stick on the blue line because that's what the Hawks needed at the time. And instead of Adam Boquist, I'm going to take a guy that has taken some time to get where he needs to be, but he proved this year that he's ready to be that solid 2-way defenseman, power play guy. I'm going to take Evan Bouchard, who, of course, was originally taken 10th by the Oilers. Evan Bouchard now on the Blackhawks would be really nice. But as I said, had they taken him instead of Boquist, they would have probably traded him in a year or 2, because that's what he who shall not be named did.
Well, I mean, they wanted Boquist to be ready before he was. And I remember going into that draft, everyone was saying Evan Bouchard is the most NHL ready, defensive prospect. And I was just like, all right, that doesn't sound bad. He's big. He's mobile enough. He had offensive, a plus offensive side. And as we've seen through his development with the Oilers, he's pretty solid. So yeah, I remember them going with Boquist and being like, I really think they're going to miss out on Bouchard, but In this redraft, he is a Blackhawk.
There you go.
He's got more goals and he's got more points than Adam Boquist right now in their careers. And Boquist had a big head start too, because he's pretty much been in the NHL essentially since this draft year. 30 games in Rockford or whatever it was. So yeah.
Yep. All right, now I'm picking for the New York Rangers at 9 and the Edmonton Oilers at 10. The Rangers, I'm going to take the number 11 pick overall, Oliver Wahlstrom, who is an Islander, and plug him in with the Rangers. Just a really solid player. As we've talked about the Hawks developing their team and building a roster, and the Vegas Golden Knights, how well they did it. Oliver Wahlstrom is the kind of guy who you find in the middle of a lineup on a really good team. About half a point per game at this point in his career. Just a real solid player. So I like him for the Rangers. And then I still have belief that Philip Zadina is going to be a player. I did not give him to the Rangers because I don't think they would know how to develop him. But I think you get that guy in Edmonton with those elite forwards, and I think that he could do really well in Edmonton, where he's not like a focal point on a line, where he's a complementary player. So I'm the Oilers. I'm taking Philip Zadina at 10.
Yeah, I think that's a good pick, and I think that's fair. Like I think the talent is there. It's just got to be pulled out of him.
Yeah, for sure. All right, so that brings me to the Islanders, the first of back-to-back picks for the Islanders, who originally took Oliver Wahlstrom and then Noah Dobson. And Dobson's gone, correct? Yes.
Yes.
Wahlstrom was just taken. So they have to go completely different route. So with this 11th pick, they went with a forward. So I'll stick with a forward. And I'm going to give him a guy that I think he's played well. He's played over 200 games already. He gives him some depth up the middle. And he hasn't really fit that scoring yet, but he's playing with Anaheim. And, you never know, but he's got more points, or just almost as many points as Wahlstrom had in that spot. So I'm going to give them Isaac Lundstrom, who was taken 23rd overall by Anaheim. But I'm going to slot him in the Islanders system right now, because they definitely could use some more scoring. I'm not sure he's the guy for that, but of the remaining forwards left, he's probably your best candidate for that.
Yep, that sounds good. Well, I'll round out I'm sorry. How we got? I'll round out the Islanders of their back-to-back picks here then. All right. Looking at the board, I'm going to go with another defenseman, and this is a guy that I think, and we saw it heading into this season, the team that eventually did draft him, they're betting a lot on him, and I think for good reason. And he's a guy that I remember that second first round pick that the Blackhawks had. He was another guy that I was like, ooh, this would be a good player for them to get. And even after even after selecting Boquist, I was like, you could still get this guy, and I think it would be a good pick. But alas, they didn't go with him. I'm going to take the first pick of the second round. I'm going to take Matthias Samuelsson for the Islanders here at number 12. I think he's big body, two-way guy. He's got the pedigree. I just think he's got a lot of the makings of a good NHL defenseman moving forward.
All righty. So that brings us to, what do we got here?
This is our last.
You got 13.
Yeah, I got 13. We got our last snake around. So let's see here. So I got 13. That was originally to the Dallas Stars. They took Ty Dellandrea. Let's see here. Do I want to get creative? I don't know. I don't know if I want to get creative. I don't think I do. I'm going to go with I'm I know this is compelling, so compelling. I'm going to go with another defenseman. There's a lot of good defensemen in this draft. This is a guy that I think would pair really nice on Dallas's team right now, and I think has definitely upped his responsibilities in the last 2 seasons with the LA Kings. I'm going to go with Sean Durzi, defenseman here, who was originally selected 52nd overall by the Toronto Maple Leafs.
I had him 13th on my board.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
I was thinking I should go with another forward because I've already picked 3 defensemen, but you know what? I'm not picking for just my team. I'm picking for everyone else.
All righty. That leaves number 14 in the Flyers. The Flyers originally took Joel Farabee, but he's already off the board. He went 5th to the Coyotes. Should I just give them Barrett Hayton and do a swap? But I actually think I'm going to pick a guy that fits more of the Stars or the Flyers philosophy, and that's a guy that was originally picked at 13 by the Stars in Ty Dellandrea, who is starting to reach his potential. A big forward. They took their time in developing him. He had a breakout year in the AHL last year with over 20 goals and 60 points. And then had a full season here with the Stars in the NHL, and started to show signs of that scoring touch. Had a few big plays in the playoffs, so I think Dellandrea would fit the prototypical Flyers team, and with John Tortorella now, I think he would have loved a player like that.
Yeah, makes sense.
So now I got a couple ideas here for 15, and my first thought was to give Barrett Hayton to the Florida Panthers because he's been fine. He's not a superstar by any means, but he's developing correctly. However, Florida's pretty deep down the middle, and they've done a really good job of developing former European Blackhawks defensemen. So I'm going to give him Adam Boqvist and see what the Florida Panthers do with Adam Boqvist at 15, because I feel like with some proper development, like they did with Gustav Forsling, he might be able to turn into what we thought he would. And look, when you look at Adam Boqvist's numbers, they're pretty respectable. 75 points in 174 games. The problem with him is health, and he is a one-dimensional defenseman. But I think bringing him into an organization like Florida, who's done a good job at developing players, not just defensemen, but kind of all around, and they stick with them, right? They kind of stick with their guys for a long time and let them develop. They don't run out of patience. So I think at 15, I'm going to give them Adam Boqvist and see what the Florida Panthers can do with him.
Yeah, I think that's fair, and I think with the players still available in this draft, I mean, I know we've all had gripes with Boqvist, and he was never didn't turn out like I think everyone wanted him to. He's still, for this draft class, still a fairly good player, and I think, at the 15th overall pick, and you get a guy who can be, a offensive specialist, third pair defenseman in the NHL, like, that's not so bad.
No, I mean, I think the issue we all have with Boqvist, and it's not even really with him, he was rushed. He was not developed. He was put in bad situations. Like, they just did not give him a proper development path. He was very, very rushed. And we look at the defensemen in the system the Hawks have now, like Kevin Korchinski or Isaac Phillips or whoever you want to name, all of them. Korchinski's probably more advanced offensively than Boqvist was when he entered the NHL. Isaac Phillips is more physically developed. Boqvist was not either of those things when he came to the NHL. His offensive game wasn't ready for the North American game yet. His body obviously was not big enough to withstand an NHL season. And it was just, there was no excuse for him to be up aside from he who shall not be named as wanting to play with his brand new toy, which has been a problem of his for a long time. And I get it. Like, of course, it's exciting. And when Adam Boqvist came up, we were all excited to see him play because he was a first-round pick. And you're excited to see that, right? If Frank Nazar came up last year, we'd be excited about it. It wouldn't be the right move, but we'd be excited about it, right? So that lack of patience from Bowman is really what sunk Boqvist. And now the fact that, he's in Columbus and last year was such a disaster, and now he's going to have Mike Babcock in his ear. Oh, no one wants Babcock in her ear. That's a bad thing. So I don't know. I don't know
where it belongs.
It's going to go. I mean, it worked with Tortorella. He's survived that. So we'll see how it goes. I'm rooting for the kid. He's a good kid. I think he came and did what he was asked to do as much as he could. I have no hard feelings about Adam Boqvist. I think that they did him a massive disservice.
Yeah.
Hopefully he can keep the career going, arrow pointed up, and most importantly, stay healthy.
Yeah, I think that's one of the big things. And we're going to go into the 2019 draft, and health and confidence will be another theme with the former Blackhawks lottery pick.
Yeah, getting mentioned on the chat, Nate says nobody went with Igor Sharangovich. Yeah, he was right there on my board. He was right there, but I felt like the whole thing with Boqvist and the Panthers potentially developing is fun, and it's better conversation for a Blackhawks podcast. The program.
There you go. Yeah,
sure.
If this was NJSY Devils, we would be talking about it.
Yeah. So who didn't stay in the top 15 then? Kokaniemi, Vitaly Kravtsov, and Gregory Denisenko were the only three that didn't stay in the top 15.
Wow. Yep.
I mean, I think that's fair. Kokaniemi, I think, was an extreme reach, even when he was picked third overall. And I think now, Montreal did not handle him well, and now he's fourth liner for Carolina. Like it just kind of goes to show that the patience with young players, just because you're picked in the top 3 doesn't necessarily mean you need to be on the NHL roster day one. Like a lot of these players, especially, defensemen and guys coming over from Europe and stuff like that, like take some time with them. Like you're not going to get guys that step on the ice as an 18-year-old that can handle the NHL game right away. Guys like Patrick King and guys like Connor McDavid, Connor Bedard coming up, Austin Matthews, like those are special talents. They're not the norm.
That's right. All right, we're going to get to 2019 here in a second, but first we want to welcome our newest sponsor and my favorite, Sunnyside Cannabis Dispensary. They are your home for judgment-free cannabis shopping, a place where all kinds of visitors are welcome to explore, discover, and purchase a wide array of high-quality products. Sunnyside has everything you need to elevate your summer. It's your one-stop shop for all your cannabis needs, no matter where you are on your cannabis journey. Easy online ordering and in-store pickup, great transparent loyalty program, Sunnyside Rewards. It is Illinois' favorite dispensary from city to suburbs, Wrigleyville to River North, Champaign to South Beloit. Which Chicago athlete made me feel good this week? Well, he's not a Chicago athlete yet, but I got my Hockey News draft preview, and I've been reading about Connor Bedard, and boy, you don't even need a trip to the dispensary after that, but you know what? You might as well make one anyway. And Sunnyside has a lovely house of brands, including some of my favorites. Mindy's, they are the best tasting gummy and chocolate edibles created by James Beard, award-winning chef Mindy Siegel and Cresco Labs. I love those blackberry gummies. They're absolutely terrific. Good news is my go-to brand. I get the Frye vape pen, which is wonderful. I get the Counting Sheep edibles to fall asleep, and there's very little of a psychedelic effect on those. It just helps you drift off to sleep, which is my biggest problem in the world. Those are my two go-to brands, Mindy's and Good News, but they got Cresco, high supply of FurlCal, Wonder, Remedy, so many great brands. And now through August, head to sunnyside.shop and use the code CHGO25 at checkout for 25% off your total order, one use per customer. That's not only for new customers. Anyone can use our code. Pick up everything you need to elevate your summer. Must be 21 plus or an Illinois Med card holder. Sunnyside, welcome. We're happy to have you again. 25% off with that code CHGO25.
Yeah, speaking of the sun, and if you're still a little nervous about going to a dispensary, even though it's 100% on the up and up and legal, and you need to be a little incognito, well, then I invite you to get a pair of Shady Rays sunglasses to wear going to the Sunnyside dispensary.
My name is Guy Incognito.
just in case you don't want your neighbors and you think a pair of sunglasses, hey, work for Clark Kent, maybe it could work for you. No matter what you want your sunglasses for, get them from our friends at Shady Rays and take on the sun or the sunny side with gear built to last. Our friends at Shady Rays have you covered for the warm weather ahead with premium polarized shades at an affordable price. Shady Rays is an independent sunglasses company that offers you a world-class product that, I'm making it here, is better than any expensive pair I've ever worn. They have durable frames and extremely clear optics for your outdoor adventures or for sitting in traffic. Like, that's basically what my outdoor adventures are. And that's not all. Shady Rays offers the most insane protection in all of eyewear. Every pair of sunglasses is backed by the Lost and Broken Replacements program. What is that, you say? Well, if you lose or break your pair, even on the very first day, you drop them right out of the box because you're so excited and they break, they're going to send you a brand new pair, no questions asked. You can wear your Shady Rays with confidence because they have your back long after you make your purchase. And you're going to look great and feel great because together with their customers, that's you, Shady Rays is providing much needed support to nonprofit partners across the United States through Shady Rays Impact. From building play sets for pediatric cancer patients to providing young adults with MS the outdoor adventure of a lifetime, Shady Rays is making an impact in your communities and others just like it now and for years to come. And if you're a complete weirdo, and none of you aren't because you're watching our show, and you don't love your Shady Rays, but you will, you can exchange them for a new pair or return them for free within 30 days. There's zero risk when you shop, as they always have your back. And the exclusive deal for our lovely, beautiful listeners here at CHGO, go to shadyrays.com, put 2 pairs of their awesome polarized sunglasses in your shopping cart. When you go to checkout, use the promo code CHGO, and you're going to get 50% off that order of 2 or more pairs of sunglasses, so you can finally try for yourself the shades rated 5 stars by over 250,000 people, including a bunch of people in this chat right now, I'm sure.
Yes, and me.
Yeah.
I love my Shady Rays. Got a couple more coming. Can't wait. Love them. By the way, this is the last chance we're going to have to tell people about our CHGO Father's Day merch sale. Go to chgolocker.com. You're going to get one shirt and get another 50% off. That is our Father's Day sale. The deadline for shipping in time for Father's Day is obviously passed, as it's in 2 days. But the sale is on until Sunday. So go to chgolocker.com, pick out a shirt, then pick out another, and the second one will be 50% off. And of course, diehards always save 20% at chgolocker.com. So it's a great time to become a diehard. Hey, that's a really nice Father's Day gift, by the way. You got a dad who's a sports fan who likes reading about, listening about, wearing cool merch, all that stuff. Get him a CHGO diehard membership. Gift memberships are available. You can do it very, very easily. So allchgo.com is the place to go for all of your CHGO needs. And we've got a bunch of draft profiles going up every day. We started, last week we did it, Greg? And then we're going to probably wrap up at the end of next week. So we got a whole bunch coming. Every day we sort of profiled someone who might be there for the Hawks at that 19 spot, give or take, up or down a little bit. So lots of guys profiled. So you're going to want to check that out at allchgo.com. And those are unlocked. Those are free. So read them, share them, tell friends so they find out about allchgo.com and join the fun of us here, because it's an awesome place to be. And we cannot wait for our Nashville trip next week. All right. I think we are ready to begin the 2019 NHL Draft.
Again.
All right. So this draft, Greg will be first. I will be second. Mario will be third. Recapping the actual 2019 NHL Draft. Jack Hughes went to Jersey. Kaapo Kakko went to the Rangers. Kirby Dach to Chicago. Bowen Byram to Colorado. Alex Turcotte to LA. Moritz Seider to Detroit. Dylan Cousins to Buffalo. Philip Broberg to Edmonton. Trevor Zegras to Anaheim. Vasily Podkolzin to Vancouver. Victor Soderstrom to Arizona. Matthew Boldy to Minnesota. Spencer Knight to Florida. Cam York to Philly. And Cole Caulfield to Montreal. There's your top 15 of the draft.
This one is going to be fun. I think this one's we're going to see more of a shakeup in this one than we did in the first draft. Yeah, it could be a good one. Every time I click off my window, I come back and it's a different setup here. I should stop clicking off my window.
It looks like he's holding a Minnesota Vikings and is allowing the clock to expire, so he loses his. Oh, pick.
All right, well, I'll make this real quick for the first overall pick. It ain't changing. And the New Jersey Devils are still going to take Jack Hughes. That's a no-brainer. That kid is a superstar, and they don't regret taking him then, and they're not going to regret redrafting him now.
Yeah,
Nope.
that's you can't argue with that at all. I mean, he's been everything he's advertised to be. Number 2 for the Rangers. I'm a little bit hesitant
Give him Kirby Doc.
because of the injury issues already. He's already had a lot. But I'm going to go Bowen Byram number 2.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I'm going to give Bowen Byram to the Rangers. I know he's been a little injury prone or some concussion concerns there, but he has shown that he can perform on the biggest stages. I know he's a little bit overshadowed by Cale Makar and all the stars on Colorado, but Bowen Byram is who I wanted at 3. It's what I thought they should take, and they didn't, and it annoyed me, and I'm taking him at number 2 for the New York Rangers.
Interesting. Okay. All right. Well, this gets us to the Blackhawks pick then. I was not expecting you to go Bowen Byram at number 3, so I'm going to take the next guy the guy that I had penciled in at number 2. I thought was definitely going to go number 2, but he's still available. So, welcome to the Chicago Blackhawks, Trevor Zegras.
Well, that's fun.
I mean, talk about the marketing ability of the Chicago Blackhawks, right?
Yep.
Like that, I think that would be just a tremendous fit. You get a guy like Zegras with, a little bit of personality. He's got some nice hair, definitely got some charisma. You get him in the city of Chicago, like that. I think there's a lot of good things that could be done, even just on the business side of hockey. And then you get him on the ice, and he's an exciting player. He's very, very skillful guy. And I think Anaheim definitely him falling to them at number 9 is quite the blessing for the Ducks.
I don't know. I had him at 4. I don't know why. I don't know. I don't know what it is about him with me, where I'm just worried he's not going to become everything he thought he was going to be. He's already off to a great start. Don't get me wrong. I mean,
yeah.
I don't know. I probably this pick will get me fired for not taking Zegras, but I don't know. There's just something with all the pudwacky things that have happened a little bit with him recently. I don't know. I'm not sure.
The only downside about Zegras coming to the Blackhawks is we would have been all excited. And then, hey, Trevor, here's your first head coach, Jeremy Colleton. Go have fun.
That's true. Yeah, that's true. All right, so it's my pick again, number 4. Originally to the Colorado Avalanche. They went with Bowen Byram originally. I'm going to keep them going with the defenseman. I'm going to go with Moritz Seider. I think, a lot of people were surprised when he went number 6 to Detroit. Man, has that panned out pretty well for them. That's a guy that can play on a top pair. He can play, two-way, big kid, physical. I like his game. So congratulations to the Colorado Avalanche. You probably still would win a Stanley Cup only with Moritz Seider there instead of Bowen Byram.
Could you imagine a Cale Makar, Moritz Seider top pairing for the next 12 years? Just not fair. That gives you literally everything you want out of one pair.
That
would be unfair.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Well, good thing this is only pretend.
All right, back to me for the LA Kings, who took Alex Turcotte in that spot. I'm going to give them a winger who actually panned out and give him Cole Caulfield at number 5. That's my pick for the Kings. A young, exciting player. Fits in well there. A team that's kind of built bigger up front. They can use a little bit of dynamic speed and scoring. So I think Cole Caulfield's a great fit for the LA Kings. So I'm going to take him right there.
Yeah. I didn't think he was going to last long.
Yeah, I mean, you didn't take your Wisconsin guy. I was kind of surprised he wasn't coming to the Blackhawks.
He was. I did it with Keandre Miller, but I couldn't justify all that much on a draft class this deep. Cole Caulfield still is not, in the top 5 for me, even though I love him.
Yeah, this one is a lot more star-studded than the 2018 one. That's for damn sure.
Absolutely.
Well, I get the luxury of doing the Avalanche or the Red Wings and the Avalanche on the snake. Now, because the Avalanche went or the Red Wings, I don't want to keep saying Avalanche. Red Wings at 6 went with a defenseman to begin with. That's where they took Seider, and he's off the board. A lot of people thought that he was a stretch at that spot. I'm going to give him a guy that probably would still be considered a stretch, but is another one of these kids that is taking his time developing and is looking like he may turn out to be pretty good defenseman. I know his name. He's one of those guys that when you're talking about trading with the Philadelphia Flyers was a name that would come up, and they were like, no, thank you. The Red Wings are going to take defenseman Cam York at 6. I think he fits that mold of that Seider pick, the bigger defenseman. So I'm going to give him Cam York at 6. And then the Colorado Avalanche got more Seider earlier, and now they're they're not on the. I had my thing all messed up here.
Buffalo here.
You got Buffalo.
It is. I had mine sorted by games played. That's why. So Buffalo. My apologies. Buffalo. They took Dylan Cousins 7, and somehow he's still on the board for him, and they're still going to take Dylan Cousins 7. He's another kid that top 10 pick. Took their time, and now he's looking like the real deal up there in Buffalo. Buffalo's going to be really good here in a year or two. They're going to, if they get some goaltending, man, watch out.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's a. I wonder if they get to make something work with Connor Hellebuck.
They can. I think they've got for 1 year. I mean, they've got some cap space. That's a team that's definitely rumored to be one of the teams looking. Teams I've heard a lot about Hellebuck are the Sabres, the Senators, and the Devils.
All 3 would be fun. All right, I'm on the clock for the Oilers, who took Philip Broberg in that spot. He's been okay. You know, he's not a big point scorer, but a solid defenseman. But I'm not going to take Philip Broberg there. I'm going to take Matthew Boldy, who's been really, really solid for the Minnesota Wild. 102 points in 128 games. This kid just feels like he's going to be really good for a long time. I really like Matthew Boldy, so I'm taking him at 8 for the Edmonton Oilers.
That's fair. Yeah. All right. So my turn, number 9 for the Anaheim Ducks. Let's see. Going down the list. I'm just looking at the list here to see my little draft board. If anyone jumps out at me, and they do not. So because this is now, I think this is now pretty fair value where I would put this player. So Anaheim and Chicago, your first round picks are going to flip flop. Chicago's going to get Trevor Zegras, and Anaheim is going to get Kirby Dach at number 9. Look, I think we saw it last year when he's healthy. With Montreal, I think he's an effective player. He's got offensive talent. I think his defensive game can still round out. He's still 22 years old. He's not a center. We figured that out, but the Blackhawks coaching staff didn't. And I think now he's got a little bit less pressure, surprisingly, in Montreal, because he doesn't have to be the guy. They have other guys there around him to kind of shoulder that load. So, I think I think given what we said about Adam Boquist, it applies directly again to Kirby Dach. He needed more time to develop. He needed, to go back to the WHL. And just because you're a top 3 pick does not mean you need to be on the NHL roster the first day that you're able to be. So I got Kirby Dach going number 9.
Yeah, that's fair. I think that seems right. That seems about where, knowing what we know about Kirby Dach now, about where he should fit.
Yeah.
And who do you got at 10?
10. 10th to Vancouver. I got a pick for Vancouver again. God, I hate this. Vancouver is going to get they are going to get a guy who I know he's not lived up to the draft billing, but I think he's got some pretty good talent to stay as a guy in a top 9 role. He's not going to be a top line player. But I think, his two-way ability is pretty good. He was, hindsight, he was overdrafted, but I think number 10 is going to be Capo Caco. I know Rangers fans wanted him to be, in the top 6, wanted him to be do a little bit of everything, be a scorer, and it just doesn't seem like that's his game that's going to be his game at the NHL level. He's played pretty effectively in a third line role early on in his career with the Rangers. Was it him, Lafreniere, and Heidel that were the third line, not this past postseason, but the one before, that was really effective. So yeah, I mean, there's room for improvement. There's already a fine game there, and I still think he goes in the top 10 of a pretty talented class.
Yeah. He strikes me as a guy who, in another situation, probably would have done better.
Yeah,
with a little more opportunity, and I don't know. I think the spotlight too in New York can be a huge thing. Because I remember it was Jack Hughes, and it was for sure Kakko was number 2.
Yeah,
there's no doubt. Like, hey, it was one of those. And in most drafts, he's number 1. Any of this has not panned out to what he's hyped to be at. But again, like we say all the time, like, development's not linear. Everybody's different. It doesn't mean he can't become the player they thought he was going to be. It just might take a little bit longer.
Well,
so yeah,
the Rangers did what the Blackhawks are hopefully not going to do, and definitely not looking like they're going to do. They got number 2 overall here in Kakko, and then the next year they lucked out and got the number 1 pick. Despite being a playoff team, they still got the number 1 overall pick. So they got Kakko and Lafreniere in back-to-back years, and they pretty much said, that's it, rebuild is over. You go out, they get Panarin, they give all this money to these guys, and they said, we're going for it. And then their development was lost because of it. You bring in a coach like Gerard Gallant, who is not there to make kids better. He's there to win a Stanley Cup. And they screwed that up. They definitely could have been a little more patient there and waited another year or two before starting to go for it. And then they had that run last year to the conference finals because their goaltender carried them. And again, they decided, let's go all for it. And they trade for Tarasenko and they trade for Kane. And as we said yesterday, they were deemed the ultimate loser of the Stanley Cup playoffs. So now that the Hawks have the number 1 overall pick, let's not go down that path of the Rangers. Let's stay the course. And I don't have I don't have a lot of worry that that's the case.
Yeah, I agree with you. Yep. All right, I'm now picking for the Arizona Coyotes. I am going to take. I know it's an unsexy pick, but he's a proven contributor to a winning team. Originally drafted 16 overall by Colorado. I'm going to take Alex Newhook. Again, unsexy, but a solid player, and sometimes a known commodity is a very valuable asset. And to see the way he performed throughout a cup run, and just being able to, at a young age, keep his head above water and be someone that the Avalanche can rely upon in big moments, there's huge value there. So I'm sending him to the young Arizona Coyotes.
Nice. I like that pick.
All right. So that leaves me at 12, the Minnesota Wild, who originally took Matthew Boldy. Not shocked at all that he's off the board. He's a tremendous player. When it's all said and done, could be anywhere from 2nd to 5th best player out of this class. So the Wild went with some offense. I'm going to give him a guy that fits the Minnesota Wild, and as a player I really enjoyed watching in the AHL and had a pretty good first full season for the Nashville Predators. He went 24th originally to Nashville. I'm going to draft Philip Tomasino here for the Minnesota Wild because I think he's that type of player. He would fit perfectly on the Wild. I mean, the Wild and the Predators play similar styles of hockey, so I think Tomasino would be a really good pick for the Wild here to close out our 4th little snake here at number 12. So that takes us to our final 3 picks, and that gives me the Florida Panthers, who took goaltender Spencer Knight here at 13th overall. And this came, was it before or after they signed Bobrovsky? They signed Bobrovsky 2 days later, right?
It was after, yeah.
Yeah.
They drafted Knight and then signed Bobrovsky.
Right. So, obviously the Bobrovsky contract finally paid for itself this year. And Knight has looked really good at times, but he's dealing with some off-ice issues, some mental health issues. Taking a goalie this high for me is dangerous. So as much as I like Spencer Knight and I still think he's going to be worth a first-round pick, I'm not going to do it here because it's just too – unless you're a Carey Price, I don't take goalies in the first round.
Yeah.
Normally, though I would have for the Hawks a couple years ago if say a Victor Wallstead was there. So for the Panthers, I am going to go on the blue line, and I'm going to take a kid that, again, lots of development, lots of patience, but at the end of the season, it really started to look good and looked good in the Stanley Cup playoffs for the Dallas Stars. I'm going to take defenseman Thomas Harley, who was originally taken 18th. By the Stars, but I think Harley is going to be a really solid defenseman for years to come, and we're starting to see what he's capable of.
I like that.
Yeah, it's a good pick. He was solid in the playoffs. He's a good player. I'm going way off the board here at 14 for the Flyers.
Whoa!
Because I have fallen in love with the prospect from the Detroit Red Wings, brother of our buddy Arvid Soderblom. Elmer Soderblom, the 6'6", 220-pound SOB, just a giant man. Not the biggest scorer in the world. He's played only 21 NHL games, but he's got 8 points in those games. I just loved watching this kid play in the preseason where he was just manhandling people, stiff-arming people, an old-school power forward. I'm going way off the board. Originally selected 159th by the Red Wings. Because it's the Flyers, and I don't care. I'm taking a flyer for the Flyers on Elmer Soderblom, the giant SOB. I love that dude.
Now he is of Soderblom, right? Not Soderblom.
They're brothers.
Right, but remember, there's the family controversy of how they
say the name differently. Yes,
yes.
They're trolling everyone. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
There you go. I know it's a reach, but I love the guy. When he plays, I just get excited to watch that dude play because it's you don't see a lot of guys like that anymore up front.
Yeah.
So
that's true.
It's exciting.
All right. I will close it out here with Montreal. They went Cole Caulfield, so they went forward. There are some interesting players that are still available here. This draft is very interesting. There's one player I'm deciding between one guy that was picked in the 4th round and one guy that was picked in the 7th round. And as much as I would love to pick the guy that was picked in the 7th round just to be wild about it, I'm going to go with the guy who was picked in the 4th round, originally selected 98th overall, and that is forward Matias Maselli, who originally went to the Arizona Coyotes, but had a big season this year, 49 points in 64 games for the Arizona Coyotes. We watched a little bit more. I paid attention a little bit more to the Coyotes this year than I have in years past because of our connections with the ALLCITY network. And Maselli was one of those guys that I was just like, wow, like I had never heard of this guy, even though he plays for the Coyotes, like even on another level, I hadn't heard of him before. And when I saw, did a little more research on him that he was picked in 2019, it was just like, wow, like you talk about the depth of the draft class. I think he's going to be a pretty good player, and he's in a good situation for development with Arizona because they got nothing but time for some of their young guys. So that'll be fun to see. What are you got there, Jay?
I do that, but I had him there too.
Yeah.
Right there under Soderblom.
Yeah.
Homer.
And down to my chicken scratch.
Yeah. So yeah, I go with Matias Maselli there to wrap it up. This is a very interesting this lottery draft of 2019. I was more excited than 2018 for sure, just because of the sheer talent that it had in it.
You've got a lot of guys already making impacts and having established careers from this draft, and that's very quick.
Mm-hmm.
Considering what it was 4 years ago, like this is the point where now like these guys start to make an impact. It feels like all these guys are kind of a year ahead of schedule.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was a great draft. That's a fun draft. Alex Turcotte, by the way, did not make it in the top 15.
No, he was on my board still. But I liked between forwards. I liked Maselli more because he's already shown it in the NHL. He can do it a little bit. The other guy I was thinking of, the 7th rounder pick was Dustin Wolf. Was picked 214th overall out of 217 picks made, and he has been just lights out at the AHL level. When he gets to the NHL with Calgary, which I think will be coming up pretty soon. Man, I'm really excited to see what he does, because he's one of these guys that fits that mold of like, oh, too small for a goaltender, but it's just like he's 6 foot, which it's not the biggest guy on your roster, but when you have a guy that in net that has a good athletic base and can be sound positionally, like you can make it as a 6-footer. So I'm really excited to see what happens for him, just because he was really counted out because of size. I think he's back-to-back AHL goaltender of the year. I think he was AHL rookie of the year his first year, and if I'm not mistaken, I think he was the AHL MVP this year.
Yeah, he's been good. Up. He's definitely going to give them. He's their goalie of the future. There's no doubt about that. As Markstrom kind of struggled this year, I thought when you were teasing 7th rounder, I thought you were thinking of Juuso Parssinen, who was taken in the 7th round by the Predators, who had a really nice second half of the season, and they may have found a diamond in the rough there. But yeah, I think 4 guys who were originally taken top 15 did not make the cut. Turcotte, Podkolzin, Victor Soderstrom was taken by the Coyotes 11th, and then Spencer Knight fell out of the top 15 as well. It's pretty crazy that like Spencer Knight still might be great. My biggest hopes for Spencer Knight is that he gets the issues he's dealing with in order, and he comes back healthy and in a good frame of mind. But as you mentioned, they took him 13th overall, and then the last goalie of the draft might be the best. It's why drafting goalies in the first round is quite the gamble. Maybe that's a future episode here when we have nothing to talk about in the summer. Look at first round goalies taken in the first round in the last 20 years and see how that's worked out.
Rick DiPietro.
Yeah, I mean, for every Carey Price and Marc-Andre Fleury, you have a Jack Campbell.
Yep.
Jack Campbell hasn't been terrible, but
not worth a first round pick.
Yeah.
Yeah,
the money he's getting paid in Edmonton right now.
Yeah, Broberg didn't get taken either. That's another one that didn't.
Oh yeah, I thought he got taken.
It's a talented 5. It's a talented class.
Yeah, I screwed it up by taking Elmer. Sorry.
I think speaking of future episodes, talking to our guy Gary in the Die Hard Discord channel, he was mentioning the Hawks. Last time the Blackhawks, the NHL draft was in Nashville, was in 2003, and the Blackhawks had a pretty good class there, where they got Seabrook, Crawford, and Dustin Byfuglien in that draft. So we were discussing, is that the greatest draft of all time? I know we had talked before, but we will at some point this summer do a best/worst Blackhawk draft classes of all time episode, where we each kind of pick some, because there are some good draft classes. I still think the 1980 draft class is the best of all time. That was the draft where they got Dennis Savard, Troy Murray, and Steve Larmer all in the same draft, and Steve Larmer was like a 6th or 7th round pick. And by the way, happy birthday, Steve Larmer, Blackhawks legend, 62 years old today. That's a lot of cigarettes. But so we'll do that at some point. And there are probably some surprising draft classes that pop up there on the worst side. Everybody loves 2007 because the Blackhawks got number 1 overall and they got Patrick Kane, but the rest of that draft class sucks. Boy, they have 2 NHL games from the rest of that draft class.
Yeah.
It's awful. I mean,
it's
yes, Patrick Kane makes it.
You draft one Hall of Famer and nothing else.
Yeah, it was a bad draft class. Besides that,
and they had
that's for another day.
And they had like 10 picks. You guys researched this Oliver Ekman-Larsson news that is being brought into the chat. I will tell the good folks about our friends over at FOCO that will help you get fitted out in the best sports gear around, whether it's their hoodies, shoes, or different signs, bobbleheads, and everything in between. FOCO has you covered. If you want to put your favorite team's logo on something, FOCO can do it. It's spring, and it will be summer officially by calendar standards pretty soon, which means it is baseball season. And hey, the NBA and the NHL seasons are over. Hello, baseball season. Get fitted out in Aloha shirts, straw hats, polos, and everything you need for the game, including bag sets as well. And when we are in our studio, see our set is decked out by all of the good stuff from FOCO. I have some decorations. I will admit none of these are from FOCO. These are just home collection things, but you can make your home office or your regular office or your living room, your basement, your man cave, she shed, whatever you want. You can deck it out with FOCO stuff for the sports fan in you or in your life. You can check out foco.com or click the link in the description below. And for all non-presale items, you will get 10% off when you use the promo code CHGO. Again, that is foco.com, FOCO.com, and the promo code CHGO.
That's right. And the ComEd Energy Efficiency Program is committed to helping families and businesses in the communities they serve by helping manage energy usage and lower energy bills now and into the future.
Jay, I'm so happy you mentioned that because ComEd offers a wide variety of incentives on lighting and other efficiency upgrades to commercial, industrial, and public sector customers of all sizes across their territory. ComEd also offers free facility assessments that can help find energy-saving opportunities, like for HVAC systems, commercial kitchen equipment, since we all own a lot of that, or industrial processes.
Yes, I do have my deep fryer at home.
Yes. How does that work, Greg?
Well, Jay and Mario and Steven, an authorized engineer will work with you to develop a detailed assessment plan specific to your goals and needs. These can be done in person or, my favorite, virtually, and will last about 2 hours. Within 3 to 4 weeks after, you're going to get a report detailing energy efficiency projects that you could start working on not later, but immediately. Each recommendation will include estimated energy savings, cost savings, project costs, potential incentives, and simple payback. If you own a business, Jay, don't wait. Starting saving money and energy today, as we like to call Monergy, for energy saving tips, lighting incentives, or to schedule your free facility assessment. Wait till the show is over, then go to comed.com/poweringbiz.
That's right. Greg said comed.com/poweringbiz. Do it.
BIZ.
Yes. Save your Monergy. All right. The news coming from Elliot Friedman. There is word this afternoon that Vancouver will buy out Oliver Ekman-Larsson. He will be an unrestricted free agent. Oliver Ekman-Larsson, if you don't know, has 4 years left on his deal at $7.85 million. I ran the cap-friendly buyout calculator. That means that they will save a total of $9,666,667. However, for the 4 years after that contract is gone, they will owe $2.126667 against the cap.
Oh my God.
So instead of 4 years at 7 and change, it is now 8 years left of Oliver Ekman-Larsson on their books. This is an interesting calculus for them because,
man,
I don't really know. See, to me, this is what you do if you're a team with like your window closing, right? And you just say, screw it. We've got to get this off the book so we can bring in a player to help us now and get over the hump. And then we'll just deal with it when we deal with it. But I don't really know what Vancouver's doing.
Neither do they.
I don't know what is the ultimate, like, are they rebuilding? Are they trying to win? Because if you're rebuilding, keep them around, right? But the biggest thing I'm wondering now is, does this now prevent the Hawks from trying to get Connor Garland or Brock Besser from them?
I would say no. I think they're still trying to save money. So I would think that they could still make something like that happen. This is a move you make that you are rolling the dice and betting on the NHL salary cap going up, that eventually those extended years of 2 point whatever you said, Jay, doesn't hurt as much because the cap is going up. But again, we've heard that year after year after year, and it's 1 million, 1 million, 1 million. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a interesting move from a team that they haven't committed one way or the other about what they want to do. They have young pieces. They have Elias Pettersson. They have Quinn Hughes. They have young pieces there that you're trying to build up with, but it just hasn't come to fruition with kind of the veterans that they've brought in and brought around. So now you kind of have to reshuffle the deck. Man, I don't know. I feel like Vancouver probably thinks maybe we can try and squeeze the most out of this over the next 2 years, and if it doesn't happen, then they commit to the rebuild. But it doesn't seem like Vancouver is a market that would appreciate a rebuild.
Yeah, it tells me two things. That I think they'd appreciate an actual rebuild if it was an actual, like, there was a plan.
Sure.
Like if they did what the Hawks are doing and say this is our plan, I think a lot of those fans would be like, thank you. A lot of those fans are screaming for just to tear it down and start over. This tells me two things: that nobody was going to take on 4 years of that contract.
No.
And that's not a surprise. And it also tells me that Oliver Ekman-Larsson is going to be healthy enough to actually play next year, because if he was just going to keep being hurt, you would have kept him on LTIR and got the cap relief that way. It would have been cheaper than the buyout. Less of a cap penalty.
Yeah.
So that tells me he's good enough to play. So some contending team, as Rick says, is probably going to give him pennies on a dollar because A, he's got to earn it, and B, he's still getting paid.
Yeah.
So somebody might get a real good bargain. When Ekman-Larsson is healthy, he's a very good player. He hasn't been healthy since like the 60s. That's what it feels like. But you know, it couldn't happen to a greater franchise, if you ask me. Just a whole bunch of stuck in the mud there in Vancouver, and we'll see if it affects, if they're looking to trade Bosser or Garland or that 11th pick. My guess is anybody who wanted to take on the Larson deal was asking for that 11th pick, and they're like, nope. So I doubt they're going to give you the 11 and one of those two guys now. Definitely not now.
Yeah.
But you still might be able to get one of those guys for, get Bosser and a 3rd round pick for a 2nd round pick.
Something like that.
I'd make that deal.
Sure. Absolutely. Bring in some dudes that can play and help Connor Bedard.
Yep.
You're for it. All right. It's Friday. Let's go home. We were already home, but let's go upstairs or downstairs or wherever you are.
How does downstairs?
Yeah.
Going downstairs.
We'll be back on Monday, 2:00. Got some news for you, fellas.
Oh, boy.
Wednesday, we're going to talk to Darren Pang.
Hey.
Nice.
Yeah, Wednesday show. I'm not sure exactly if it'll be 2 or 2:30, but Darren Pang will join the show on Wednesday, so look forward to that. And I know we've got another guest coming up on Thursday, Mario.
Thursday will be Elite Prospects' own Cam Robinson, unconfirmed Duncan Keith relative as well. He will come in. He will come and bestow us with his draft knowledge one last time heading into the 2023 draft. So excited to talk to Cam. Love his work with Elite Prospects. Love that when he's been on with us. He was the one that gave us the comparison of Connor Bedard being Patrick Kane with Austin Matthews shot. I think that was all the way back in December, and my mouth still hasn't stopped drooling. So it'll be fun to talk with Cam. I think it's fair to say that we can dive into more of the late 1st, 2nd round, and 3rd round prospects with him, because number 1's wrapped up. And as much fun as it is talking about Connor Bedard, we got to know a little bit about what the Blackhawks are going to do later in the rounds. So it'll be fun to talk.
There's going to be a lot of that this week coming up. A lot of draft talk.
Yep.
As we head into our road trip in Nashville, which I hope a lot of you guys are making too and joining us at Hopsmith on Tuesday. That would be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Yep. ALLCHGO.com is the place to go to get your tickets. And remember, also take advantage of that Father's Day sale at the CHGO Locker. Buy one shirt, get one 50% off. All right, we're way late, so we're going to wrap things up. Thanks, Stephen, for running the show today. Thanks, everybody, for hanging out with us for the entirety. Make sure you smash that like button on your way out. Make sure you tell a friend this weekend about the CHGO Blackhawks podcast. We'll talk to you Monday at 2. Have a great weekend.